The story begins not in some dark alley or shady cybercafe, but in the bright halls of tech innovation. Facial recognition was once hailed as the ultimate solution for security. A system so advanced it could unlock your phone, secure your bank account, and even let you walk through airports without showing your passport. It was futuristic, sleek, and unstoppable. Until it wasn't. Because somewhere in the shadows, hackers, fraudsters, and organized crime groups were watching. And they saw an opportunity worth billions. This is the story of how facial recognition fraud went from a clever trick to a global money-making empire. At first, facial recognition was marketed as unbreakable. Unlike passwords you forget, pins you share, or fingerprints that can be stolen, your face was unique. But fraud doesn't ask, is it secure? Fraud asks, can it be exploited? And when billions of dollars were tied to your face, hackers started experimenting. They discovered flaws. Simple photos tricked early systems. 3D masks bypassed upgrades. Even AI-generated deepfake faces fooled advanced checks. Every time companies patched one hole, fraudsters found another. Soon a new economy was born. On hidden forums of the dark web, hackers began selling face kits. For just a few $100s, anyone could buy tools to generate fake faces that pass verification checks. Want to open a bank account in a country you've never visited? There's a face for that. Need to claim welfare benefits under a stolen identity? There's a face for that too. This wasn't random theft anymore. It was organized crime scaled globally. As the underground market grew, facial recognition fraud became industrialized. Entire call centers were dedicated to testing fake identities. Hackers would run fraud farms with hundreds of phones, all using deepfake faces to apply for loans, register accounts, and cash out stolen funds. In some regions, syndicates even recruited actors, real humans paid to mimic deepfake behaviors in front of verification cameras. The result? A fraud pipeline generating millions per week. You might think the victims were only banks or governments. But no, ordinary people suffered most. Imagine waking up to find loans under your name. Or discovering benefits you never received were paid to someone using your face. Worse still, some people had their digital likeness stolen forever. Their faces lived on in criminal databases, used again and again to commit fraud worldwide. For victims, clearing their names was almost impossible. After all, the system said it saw their face. How do you argue against your own reflection? By 2022, global losses tied to facial recognition fraud crossed billions. Governments scrambled to tighten controls. New regulations forced banks and companies to add liveness detection, systems that ask you to blink, smile, or turn your head. But criminals adapted again. They used AI-powered deepfakes that could mimic real-time movement. The cat-and-mouse game intensified. Investigations revealed shocking networks. In Eastern Europe, groups built deepfake studios to mass-produce fraudulent faces. In Southeast Asia, fraud-as-a-service businesses rented out identities for scams. And in the West, insider employees sold access to secure databases, fueling an endless cycle. This wasn't just fraud, it was a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Law enforcement fought back. Interpol launched coordinated raids. Servers hosting deepfake marketplaces were seized. High-profile arrests shook syndicates. Yet, even when leaders were jailed, the fraud never stopped. Others simply filled the gap. Why? Because the demand for fake identities was too lucrative. And as long as systems relied on faces as the ultimate ID, hackers had a business. This leads us to a chilling question. If your face can no longer prove who you are, what does identity mean? When AI can clone your face, voice, and even behavior, what separates you from a fraudster pretending to be you? The world is heading into uncharted territory, where identity itself is fragile. So what can you do? Be cautious about sharing images of your face online. Every selfie is potential raw data for fraudsters. Use multi-factor authentication wherever possible. Don't rely on facial recognition alone. Stay updated on cybercrime trends. because what you know might save you from becoming a victim. And remember this: criminals thrive in silence. The more we share these stories, the harder it becomes for fraud to grow. Facial recognition was supposed to keep us safe. Instead, it became the key to a global fraud empire. Hackers saw it not as security, but as opportunity. And until we rethink identity itself, the battle between trust and deception will continue. This was the story of how facial recognition fraud became a global moneymaker. But the bigger story, the one still unfolding, is what happens next.